Morning, Sir Pip. We
Good
always
morning.
talk before we hit record. I just hit record while you were mid-sentence because, well, the good stuff's always in the beginning, and I always miss it. So
It is.
now we're recording, so now we can just take a breath. I'm drinking coffee here. It's first thing in the morning.
I've
And
already downed 2 cups. You got to get on my level.
I'm on two.
I'm on to water now.
Bro, I'm on number 3 only because it's a home day, home office day for me. So if I'm on the road, it's 2 cups. That's it. But if I'm home, I might do 3 and 4, which is bad.
It's funny you said that because you're like, I got to get, you texted me a little while ago, like, we're still good for 9. And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, I got to get to the office. I'll hit you up when I'm in the office. And I'm like, don't you just have to walk down the stairs or
yeah,
walk?
That's exactly what I have to do. That's it. So look at this. I know people listening can't see it unless they're watching on YouTube or something, but check it out. The size up pullover.
The merch.
Some nice guy got me an end of the year Christmas present. Is very kind of Carhartt pullover. Bro, not cheap. So spending some of those royalties, huh?
Listen, this thing, I've said this since the beginning. You said it since the beginning. You know, to be a part of something that's bigger than you and be able to thank the people that help that happen. I think that's where I get my most joy in all of this, you know, and if I could thank all the people that listen, I'd love to give them stuff, but I can't do that because that's.
Bro, I love to give. I've come to realize that I enjoy giving.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a great feeling. And you think, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. It's funny because when I ask guest questions, this is what they say. So like, you didn't even ask me a question, but like giving is such a great thing and you feel like you do it all the time. And I do. I feel like I give all the time, but there's some things that just mean so much more about giving. And I think the thank yous, like you thanking me for that shirt, makes the giving feel even better.
Yeah, 100%. You know, but you don't do it. That's not true. You do it for everyone, but it's the people that are appreciative. You know, you need that. There's a return, right? So
yeah, and I don't want the return. I'm not looking for the return. But when you get it, it's like holy. When you get it, it's like holy cow! It's when I get down on myself. I just talked about it. I don't know when this is coming out, but the episode with Mike Nasty, we talked about this type of like what we want out of all of this, and it's interesting because it's not why I'm doing it, but it feels so good when you get it. That makes sense. I don't know if it does or not.
Well, like, so the other day, right? I'm running around. I'm down by you. You live like an hour and a half south of me. I'm down that way. You're like, stop by. I want to drive. I want to give you something. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm hopping off the turnpike, run over by you. I'm in a rush. You come out and you're like, here, man, here's a sweatshirt for you and Seb. I just wanted, Merry Christmas. Thanks for this past year. And, it's just small token appreciation.
That's it. Done. Get in your car.
I literally stood there and I was like, what? Like, you totally caught me off guard. And in fact, it was one of those moments where I was like, I should be giving him a sweatshirt, not the other way around. And this is stupid. Like, this is just one of those dumb things, but like, this is how my brain works is like, I always want to be the one to be able to give. I want to make sure that I take care of the people around me. Just this. And I want to talk about this because this is a great segue because this weekend I spoke up in Bellingham, Massachusetts. I did a 3-hour Bridging the Gap presentation that I do. Went over very well. And in fact, I know you've spoken in front of people before, so you know that there's some days you're on and some days you're off. Like, it's the same message. It can be, and it can be just received or delivered in 2 very different ways, even though it's the same program and you're well in tune with it. And yet it can still come off a little bumpy. You don't feel good about it. So on, I left that auditorium on a high, bro. I crushed the other morning. And it's not like a ego thing at all. It just clicked. The audience clicked. The room was great. It was an incredible venue with the screen behind me. I usually don't like to use a stage because I like to walk the crowd and engage people. Like when I talk, I like to look at people eye to eye and point at them and, hey, what do you think? Like I love doing and working a crowd. But this, I worked the crowd from the stage and it was awesome. And the message was strong. I felt good. It crushed, man. And I know the message was received. I dropped a quick 1:15 clip last night of one little spot, 1 minute of a 3-hour presentation. I dropped that last night. That thing's at like 25,000 views already on Instagram. It's a solid message. It talks about.
It's so cool when you know that, right? Like when you're on the stage and you see people's heads nodding or like you see the person have the aha moment. That was always one of my favorite parts for teaching because kind of like I've lectured in a lot of different ways, but my favorite program to do was kind of like what you do, where people thought it might have been sort of not like what you do. People thought it was going to be a fitness class, right? And it was, but it was more about the motivation to do the fitness,
Yeah.
the why behind the
Mhm.
fitness, right? Because there's 8 million ways to fitness out there, and it's the same as what you're saying in your program, because I've seen it. It's not like how to be a firefighter, how to be a good firefighter, how to do a good right-handed search, or like loads of people are out there are doing. It's the reason why you're doing this. And for 3 hours, you get up there and you speak. And that's not an easy feat for anyone, but you can talk just like I can talk for 3 hours. Everyone in that room is going to take one thing away. And that's why you're up there doing it. So they can take that one thing. I can say 100 things, but if one thing resonates with you, then you've done your job. And I think that's exactly what you're finding in your program.
100%. And I start the program off with a couple tenets of what the program's about. And the one thing is there's a slide with huge letters that says, I'm guilty. And it says, I'm guilty of every single thing that I talk about in this program. I've done, I do, I'll do it tomorrow.
I was going to say, you'll do it again. That's the other key one too. You do it again.
Because we're human, because we have ups and downs, because we go left and right, because we have highs and lows. And, at the end of the day, like, you can only share a message. You can't preach. I'm not preaching. It's sharing a message, it's starting conversation. But where I wanted to go with this and to kind of loop it back around to the beginning part of this is I felt like such a good delivery that day. I got incredible feedback from the people that were there. Great conversations after the fact. It felt really good. The message was strong. I felt it was strong. I had a 3.5 hour drive home, and I was racing home from there because of the snowstorm was coming in. So I wanted to get home before the snow started because I've been caught before on the turnpike and on 95, and I just not in a snowstorm, pal. I got better things to do. So I raced out.
Got demolished too. So
yeah, and I raced out of there. And like ultimately, though, now you're in the car for the next 3.5 hours thinking about a 3 hour presentation you just did the 3 hours prior, and you get in your own head about it. And you start thinking about it. And see, for me, like that, I posted that clip last night because it was strong. I thought it had a very strong and powerful message, the way it came off and the way it was delivered. And it's being received very well. But then it's like that little bit of imposter syndrome sets in, or it's like that little bit of like questioning yourself. It's like, am I full of shit? Do people look at me and go, is this guy's, he's out there. Like this guy's message. Where's he coming from? Like, who is this guy? What's his story? Like, why does he get to do that? And I sit there and I toss and turn on that. I often think like a lot of times I'm a very confident guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm full of confidence. I have all the conviction in the world about my points of view, where I come from. I can back up the majority of what I talk about. I would say almost all of it. I have reasons to back it up.
There could be some BS in there that you can't back
There's
up.
a lot. Listen, I'm a salesman. Okay. There's definitely some added padding, just like myself. There's some added padding there, but ultimately, right, the truth will prevail. And I sit there and I go, I know everything I spoke about came from the heart. I know it's truthful. I know it's experiences that I dealt with. And yet sometimes you question yourself. You still question yourself about the validity, or should I be here? Am I the guy that should be giving this message? Is this program that I put together valuable? So I have those moments. And I think because I had so much time to think to myself in the car on the way home in the truck, I was just like having those moments.
I used to get on the phone after a long presentation with a long drive, so I wouldn't have to get into my own head, because
I do that.
The other problem too, though, when you get into your own head like that and you're driving, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, did I just like miss a mile of driving? Because my own thoughts were
100%. I'm like, did I pass
so bad? Where you're like, but I think that's too. And again, I can talk about this episode that I just did, where it's called "Because You're a Human, Man." It's what we all do. You look at some of these folks, whether they're celebrities, they're movie stars, they're pro athletes, they're celebrities in the fire service, whatever you want to call them. They wrote books and they teach at big shows or they do keynotes and things. They're all just human, and there's definitely folks out there that do not feel the same way we do in whatever level they're in. And hey, that's the way they want to be. But I know for guys like me and you, we're kind of cut from that same cloth, and when you said to me, like, I should be giving you a sweatshirt, not you giving me a sweatshirt. And I'm like, yeah, that's because we're exactly the same, buddy. Like we're exactly the same person, just, a little different, let's say.
There's a lot to that. And I think that's how we end up coming together, right? It's pretty cool. I was having this conversation the other day and somebody was like, so what are you doing with National Fire Radio? Podcast channel has changed dramatically. It used to be you. Now you have the Size Up, which has been there for a while, but now you have Rob starting his own show. We have Mickey Farrell coming on with A View from the Top Floor. And that's going to be his intros being launched Wednesday. First episode will be next Monday, the 15th. That's an exciting time for us because it's going to open up a whole new lane, different types of content. I'm excited for all of it, right? And that's kind of what you and I are doing here, is just breaking this down a little bit and talking about what this year is going to look like for both of our platform, for the National Fire Radio platform, and then all the brands and so on. So, I mean, that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about here. But I said to him, I said, it's exciting time because, every facet of the brand is a little bit different. I said, Pip's content, the Size Up, it's a personal size up. It's health, wellness, and lifestyle. It has everything to do with not what I talk about, the National Fire Radio podcast. I do interviews, I do my own stuff, but it's more focused towards the individual, the person, the mental game,
it's hard. So it is all the same, right? But it's all different. Is that an easy way to put it? I think like you have a different perspective. I have a different perspective. Rob has a different perspective. Mickey has a different perspective, right? And under the National Fire Radio moniker, brand, whatever we want to use for that, we all kind of fill into our own way. And it's something that for everyone to be able to take away. You know what I mean? Like we're not just going for that one gung ho, all American pro, I live my life this way or that way all the time, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to bridge the gap to everyone to bring, this it's like a hippie commune. There's a good
word. And the fun thing was, right, is like I have a slide in the presentation that I do, and it's something new that somebody pointed out to me the other day. Same guy that I was talking to said, there's something about you and there's something about the platform. He said, and I think it has to do with your everyday message of full transparency and 100% authentic. I think that matters tremendously. And I think that that's where a lot of people get tripped up. See, National Fire Radio, the guys that I have that are helping me with this, you, the other guys, I know who you are. I've gotten to know you. I know where you come from. I know where your intentions are. I know how you carry yourself. And that's important because the only way a platform is going to succeed and survive and thrive is if it's transparent and authentic. And I think this is a message that I talked a lot about it in my program the other day, and I'm going to talk about it again right now. And I want to hear your feelings on that. But this is where I think a lot of people get tripped up, not just in the firehouse, but in life. I think a lot of people pretend that there's something more or something different than they actually are. And I think that we have to lay the foundation and groundwork for people to understand that it's okay to be who you are. There might be things that need some tweaking. I'm not perfect. I screw up every single day. Like I said in my program, I'm guilty. I'm guilty every single day. And the thing is that what do you do with that? What do you do with it? Like, do you do anything with it, or do you tuck it away in your back pocket and you pretend it doesn't exist? Because when you pretend shit doesn't exist, you pretend you're different than you are, then you're not being true to yourself or the people around you. And that is truly where we go wrong.
And that's going to happen, right? Those things are going to happen. And when you tuck them away in your back pocket, it's kind of like the whole mushroom thing. Like they just get worse. They just grow and you don't improve at all. You just stay either the same. I don't want to use the word stagnant, but that's the improvement that I am always looking for in my life, whether it be in firefighting, in my marriage, in the gym, with Finn. And the episode a few weeks ago with Finn has gotten this amazing feedback about his honesty and openness at 13 years old. The things that he said, like if you watch, I tell everyone, I'm like, go watch it on YouTube, because my face is just like I'm staring at my son in shock and awe at some of the things that he came up with. And my wife said it best after she listened to it. It was like, we made him. She's like, we made him. And I'm like, I don't know how we made him. We really did though, physically. Like the second week in a row I'm saying this, we literally, I made him. And then, but he's made me too. And by, confronting those problems that we have in our own lives or opening up about them, that's what solves them, and I think that's something that we as both creators influencers. I don't even know what the hell they call us anymore, but that's where our brand really comes alive. And I remember meeting you for the first time 5-6 years ago and being like, what is this National Fire Radio thing? Like, no one listens to the radio, buddy. Like,
yeah, what are you doing?
Like, is this Sirius XM radio? Like, is there going to be a streaming service with just you talking for hours on end? Right. But that's what I think
that would be. That's when we knew we made it, when I can just talk for 24 hours a day.
Bro, you could do that. You just have to sit there. Like, we'd have to get you a toilet or like do the astronaut thing.
Bro, I'm almost out of coffee already. I might need some more.
You're gonna have to run to the bathroom before you know it.
I might.
But that's it, right? Like, I think about it, and that's kind of when people say, like, well, what's the size up? I'm like, it's a lifestyle podcast where we have conversations just about life and see where they go. And dude, I've learned so much in these whatever 50 something episodes that I've done just by talking to people.
This is that selfish side of it, right? That's, I talk about it, right? I need this. Like, this is for me. You know, oh, you got to be selfless. You got to, no. It's okay to be selfish. It's allowed. You're allowed to go take and get what you need, because the only way you could be a good person is if you're fulfilling all of what you need. When you sacrifice too much, when you're the giver all the time, yikes.
It's hard.
Yeah, and we just talked about that a few minutes ago, right? But then all of a sudden, it's the somebody does something nice for you, you know, and it's that deed gets turned on you, and you go, whoa, there's like this whole like pause and then appreciation for it. And it's like, you can give, but you have to take also. It just depends on what that looks like. Andy Starnes, he was on my podcast quite a while back, and it was one of the more memorable episodes that I've had. And he talks about deposits and withdrawals.
Yep.
I love the way he put that and formed that to me. And we talked about it for quite a long time. And he puts together this program where he talks about your personal relationships and how important that is, and deposits and withdrawals. I mean, you can't withdraw from your account if you haven't made any deposits, right? Then all you're doing is taking. You're not giving. And we have to give back. We have to put money in the account to be able to withdraw out of the account. And what happens when we go in the red? We can't take anymore. And now you're owed, or you owe. And so it's like, you know, I love the way he formed that with me on our episode, Andy Starnes. It was great. If you haven't listened to the episode, I challenge you all to go listen to it. There's 2 parts. One that's a firefighting podcast where we talk about thermal imaging, because that's what he's known for. The other one is his program that he does about deposits, withdrawals, and relationships. It's wild.
And he talks about that too. He talks about taking away, like because he just recently retired. You know, his training company has him on the road. You know, the dude is always everywhere is the easiest way to put it. And sure. he talks about going too far to that side and missing out on some of the things that he's now been like, nope, I have to put more time into this end on my family end. And I think that was a great part of the episode. You know, I took way more away from that side than the thermal imaging side. Sorry, Andy. I know you really like thermal imaging.
No, I'm with you 100%. I agree with you, and I think that's like a real honest conversation. I talk about it all the time. I mean, like when I talk about Terry, right? We have a very strong marriage and a great relationship, and it's because I've had to come realize on a lot of fronts that I was taking a lot of it for granted, and we didn't have a come to Jesus moment, but there was a time in our relationship where we had to refocus and say, maybe I'm taking too much always. And when you take things for granted, and typically we take what's closest to us for granted. You know, we don't put in the hard work because we just assume it's going to be there. That's a problem. You got to work hard, and you got to work harder. I said it the other day, and I talk about this all. It's that service leadership, right? Servant leadership, where you have to work harder for your people. And I agree with that. If you're a boss and you promote, you're now riding the seat, or you're driving in the buggy, or you're sitting behind a desk, whatever that position is in the fire department, and then translate that to life. If you have people that rely on you and report to you, then you need to be working twice as hard. It doesn't go the other way around. A lot of people have that messed up. A lot of people think as they become a manager or a boss, they have now people, and the people do the work, and I'll make sure that they do their work. When in fact, you need to be working twice as hard as you ever worked before. To lead and to manage correctly, it requires you to double down.
And rarely anybody sees, at least what I found in my experience, no one sees you doing that work because most of it is behind the scenes. It's not
100%.
as upfront and as it is when you're, and at least in the fire service, when you're a firefighter, you know, because you're doing these other things when you get to this higher level of, I'm not a guy who writes policy and procedure, let's say, but I'm working behind the scenes to make things better for everyone more than I am upfront. I get to be upfront on the calls, let's say. Obviously, you're riding in the front seat, but a lot of my day is spent now, you know, trying to figure out budgeting and trying to, you know, plan what we're going to do, which then I can get something, I could make a plan for a half an hour and have everything planned out. And 2 minutes later, somebody walks in and it's like, nope, that's not happening anymore. You just,
Yeah, it's not sexy, right?
yeah,
The nozzle man gets all the credit, right? Fire goes out, but think about everything else that led up to getting that nozzle man into that position to make the knock.
If you even get to that chance, you know, like, and that's a whole different story in and of itself.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, it starts at the academy. It starts at your upbringing and everything that brings you through to that moment where visibly the bystander sees the impact that you make. Putting water on the fire starts to go out. We get steam instead of smoke. The fire darkens down. Fire goes out. Nozzle man walks out the door. Everybody puts him on their shoulders because he's the guy. Right? Meanwhile, there's 27 years of influence that allowed for him to be successful on top of everybody else that got him to that place.
Yeah, it's always the sad pump operator that gets no credit for anything because it's just not sexy, but they're the one that made it all happen.
1,000 things, right? And that's the conversation, I think. And you got to be realistic and you have to be, I think you got to be humbled by that to understand that there's a lot more to the equation than just yourself. We've become a society of walking with our head down, not with our head up.
It's what I love. I feel like what I love about the fire service, what I love about doing this project with you is that it's a true team effort. You know, everyone is involved in this. Everyone is on their team, just like at a fire. If the truck guys aren't doing what they need to do, I mean, there's a video floating around social media right now, maybe somebody on a ladder that got a little, they vented the window a little too soon, we could say, like, or we don't know what's going on in the video, but you know, everybody works together. It's just like this. If Sebi isn't able to do his part, then the podcast doesn't get out. If I'm not able to do my part, the podcast doesn't go out. If Tracy and the boys don't afford me the ability to do this part, the podcast doesn't go out. Same as at a fire. You know, if the pump operator is not pulling the right levers, if the officer is not giving the right orders, and if the nozzle man is not doing the nozzle man thing, fire doesn't go out. Same thing. It's about that team. And I really find too, as much as I am forward facing in this, but I really enjoy the team aspect of everything. And it was the same with 555, where there were so many of us involved. And that's what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me going. And I think even Andy said it good too, where like, you know, he is really forward facing, but without his family behind him, he wouldn't be anywhere.
I think a lot of us believe in that. I think that's true across the board for so many. But then again, there's a lot of people that don't have a support system in place. They don't have a support mechanism behind them. Their kids are rotten. Their wife or husband is terrible, and they're in a bad place. That's part of reality.
That's when you have to leave. That is a big reality, and that's when
that's it.
We have to realize two things: what the problem is, or am I part of the problem? Or am I the problem? Right?
You're 100% right, man. You're 100% right. But there are a lot of people in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm guilty. Like, it's these conversations we have really are us talking, and anybody that's willing to give us their time to listen. It's more about starting the conversation, or maybe just somebody taking pause in their own life and saying like, hey, does that hit me in a way I think it just hit me? Like, is there something here? I mean, that's all that matters to me, is like what we do, whether you like it or don't like it. If you don't like it, you never have to listen to it. You don't have to pay it attention. But you have the ability. There's, we're willing to put ourselves out there like this because I do believe that it makes a difference. I think we can touch people. I think that the podcast in a lot of different ways hits a lot of different people in different ways. And that's what I love about what we do. That's why we have the Frontline Mindset. That's why we have the Size Up. That's why we have the National Fire Radio podcast. That's why Mickey's coming on with a view from the top floor. These are all different segments in a much bigger picture. And that's where we can double down on maybe more of the details on specific things that fall in those lanes.
Yeah, and the cool part is too is that those lanes are all lanes on a highway with double yellow lines because we can all cross back and forth into everybody else's because again, we are all on the same team and we are all moving the same mission forward. And I don't even we had never even defined the mission yet, did we? But we know we're going that way, and that's what really matters,
The
right?
mission is just to make me happy. That's it.
Yeah, it is, and that's
Make
really
me
why
happy, and you'll be fine. Okay.
I don't think you're ever happy is the problem. Can you just be happy for like a minute? Like
I'm listen, I'm always I'm oh like it's very rare for me to get down. There are times in my world where I need to refocus. I need a timeout. There's no doubt, but I go pretty hard all the time. I wear a lot of different hats all day long. So it's certainly a juggling act for sure. But no, man, I've with maturity comes clarity. I believe that. I've been saying more and more. I'll be 47 this month. I think I'm in a better place today than I ever was. And I'm happy about that. But I got a long way to go, man. This is a work in progress. I've always talked about that. It's a work in progress for sure.
everything is, man. Life is a work in progress, right? And
Uh-huh.
before podcasts, let's say, like and this medium to get more people out there, I've learned so much from podcasts. I wonder in my life where I would be without them. Without learning from, I just listened to Adam Driver on Smartless and some of the things he said, I was like, dude, man, Kylo Ren is no joke. Like here I am just looking at Kylo Ren from Star Wars. Like this is the coolest dude ever. But some of the things that he said I could take
You're so
and not a dork. I'm really not that bad. I am, but I'm not that
our
bad.
worst.
I just saw a thing we could go at a local flea market near me. You could take a picture in a mock Millennium Falcon cab.
What?
Yeah, it was very exciting. Very, very exciting for me. There's new Marvel stuff coming out this week. But when with this medium, back to where I was getting.
Here we go.
With this medium though, like I often wonder, like, what did people do before this? What did we do before we had the ability to listen to all these people and their true authentic self? Because you can pick up in an interview with someone, when you would watch, let's say like growing up, like for you and I, you'd stay up late and you'd watch Letterman and you'd get to see an interview that Dave would do for like 4 minutes with a celebrity, right? And most of it was a junket tour that they would be doing they'd be promoting something to get on one of these late night shows. And you'd get that little bit of them and that was cool. Now you get some of these folks for an hour, over an hour, and you get to listen to them and their true authentic self really does come out. And that's taught me so much more than just reading books or little quick snippets or anything. And that's what I hope for from my guests too. And some of my guests are well-known people. Some of my guests, I have a guest that I'm interviewing today. Someone else suggested her. We've had about 7 text messages back and forth, and now we're going to go in an interview and see what happens.
Sometimes the best way to do it.
Right. And so like that lesson that you're able to take from it, it's just so cool for me. I'm happy to be a part of sharing other people's stories with folks.
Storytelling. It's what it is. I agree with you on the podcast, right? Cable television, right? There's a reason why it's losing its foothold. And it's because how much substance can you get at even the news, right? When you look at broadcast news, right? Where are people getting their news today? They're finding it on different streaming channels, YouTube, different places where you can go long form. How can you form an opinion based on bullet points in a 30-second interview, right? Or even that late night interview with Letterman or Leno or Johnny Carson, however old you are listening to this, right? How much substance can you truly get? But now with this medium, this podcast medium, you could dive in and find stuff that relates to exactly what you're looking for. Or I think even more important that we need to talk about is finding a differing opinion today. See, the problem is we get into these echochasms where it's literally like you find something you like and you stay in that lane, and now that's all you hear about, and you don't get the differing opinion though. And that's the only downside. Whereas independent media years ago used to give you both sides of the conversation. We all know today media is worse than it's ever been. So it's really an agenda driven, depending on if you're watching Fox or MSNBC or whatever, right? We know that there's a point of view and their message comes through loud and clear about what side of the fence they sit on, right? But independent television years ago used to get both sides of the equation and you could form your own opinions. Today, there's more of that. You have the ability today to find anything you want. But the problem is if you're always listening to what you know and want to believe, you'll never, ever be exposed to the other side. And I think that is what's creating such a polar environment this day and age. I think that's where a lot of people They double down on what they know because that's all they listen to. People that listen just to Fox, people that listen just to MSNBC, that's who they become. And then the problem
is they believe everything.
Well, they do.
The sky is purple, and they're like, yeah, the sky's purple.
But then they don't open themselves up to the other side of the conversation. They're not willing to give it an honest listen, and instead they just go double down on what they think they know or want.
I feel like I love too, and because we're talking about TV, and I'm not so much into the news anyway. But what I love about the streaming services is just there's so many options, man. I just watched a show about Asian triad mafia family, but they had a family side of it too. And now so we watched that one. Now we're watching Loudermilk with Ron Livingston.
Oh, I saw that. We haven't.
Yeah. It's like 3 seasons. I think I tried to watch it in the past and gave up, but like now Tracy and I are all in, and I'm like, this show, it's just so many different things happening at once, and I like that opinion driven life that you just have to listen to it all, and you can still shake your head and be like, yo, that mofo is crazy. Like, I got nothing on you. That dude just said something that's so out there that that's what you believe what you want to believe. I'm going to believe what I want to believe and move the hell on. Right. But it's the same with the podcast format, that you get folks with differing opinions, and sometimes they want to chat it up and other times they don't.
Yeah.
And they want to learn, because that's it too. You're never, if you just believe one thing your whole life, you're never going to learn. And there's so much coming at us now that it's everywhere. And again, watching Finn, growing up with Finn, seeing some of the things he's watching and things like, even now I just saw Meet the Parents is on Netflix, and I'm like, boys, we're watching this movie. You need to watch Meet the Parents. Like,
we just watched the ad the other day. I didn't even know they made one called Little Fockers. We just saw that on Netflix the other night. I go, what the hell is this? They made a Little Fockers? It's like a third or fourth movie.
Meet the Fockers was the second one. It was okay.
Yeah, but then there's Little Fockers too.
I don't even think I knew it got to that much.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
were they all still in it? Like Ben Stiller was still in it?
Oh. Yeah, Ben Stiller, De Niro. They call him Bobby De Niro, by the way. If you know him, it's Bobby.
If you know him, if you're friends, like, because clearly, when you're from New Jersey, automatically from here. But I think that's a big thing too, and getting folks on with differing opinions. And I look at it this way, you look at it that way. We may not agree, but we can also agree to disagree. We could swing it back to the Firehouse Kitchen table. Not everybody's going to agree every day there, man. Not everybody's going to agree.
The other side of it too, and I spoke about it the other day, and I think I saw Corley Moore posted something the other day about it, which was a great one-liner, and it's something to the effect of, if you're always constantly talking about the past, then maybe it's time to find a new group of friends, right? Like, if your focus has always been on what we did or how we were and not where we're going, maybe you want to find a new group of people to talk to. Like I always say when I start my presentation, listen, I don't know why I'm up here. I'm just a dumb fireman, right? Like, I don't know why I have this ability to do this, but I do, so I'm going to do it. But I'm just like everyone else. Like, I'm the dumbest guy in the room. I'm in a text group of some of the biggest names in the American Fire Service, and I barely speak in it because I don't belong in this group. So I don't want to ruin my chances of getting thrown out. So I just shut up and listen. But when you surround yourself with smart people, it promotes you to be better. Don't be the smartest guy in the room, because then you lose. Be the dumbest guy in the room and learn. Challenge yourself. I love all of that. I didn't come up with any of it. I've stolen that from everybody that's out there doing all these leadership conversations, so on. But I believe in it. I used to be the guy that thought he was the smartest one in the room, man. I had such a chip on my shoulder. I was the smart guy. I knew everything. You couldn't tell me anything that I didn't know already. Fast forward, I'm the dumbest guy, man. I know jack shit.
I like
what I'm saying. Like, I have really have done an about face, man. A 180, slam on the brakes. We are spinning the tires, turning around, and going in the complete opposite direction from where I was coming from. And a lot of my program, that Bridging the Gap program, I talk about all that. I talk about my personal story. There's a slide in it that's a picture of Tommy Boy. I was Tommy Boy growing up, and I talk about all that, and what that did to me, how I was, how I acted, who I was, and then where I am today. And it's a journey. It's a great program. It's a journey, but there's a lot of great nuggets in there. I'm very proud of it. Like I said the other day, it just went off really well. So It was good.
If I didn't care so much about my suit jackets, I'd let you put one on.
That guy in a little coat.
Yeah, but we're not. I like my suit jackets.
You're a snappy dresser. I couldn't.
It's funny because
I couldn't ruin those seersucker jackets of yours.
I got a nice seersucker jacket, actually. I like those. It's funny because you say that.
Probably have 7 of them. Are you kidding me? Like, I have one. I have one now. Bullshit. You probably have a whole closet full of them.
Tracy consistently says, she's like, imagine if you had to get dressed for work every day. She's like, what would our closet look like? She's like, because she's like, you wear sweatpants and t-shirts most days. I'm in gym attire because at some point I'm going to work out or I'm doing things. And so we'll be in the store and I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at that sport coat is so dope. And she's like, you don't need to wear it. We got there. Oh, this guy. Oh, can we get him on? Is he FaceTiming or is he just calling?
Yeah, hang on. Yo. Hey, I'm in the middle of a podcast right now. Would you like to come on real quick? Cool. Let me get the cord. Hang on. I'm going to plug you in the board.
Oh, man. This is pretty cool. So if you're listening in a car somewhere, a friend of ours just called Jason and a friend of ours named Jason just called Jeremy. And now we're going to throw him on the show with us here and skip my snappy dresser talking. He is a snappy dresser, though. He's known for his videos and his comedy, but he also has a really serious side. I know he's been on the Size Up podcast. I'm fairly certain he's been on National Fire Radio in the past as well. Jer is messing with all the wires because now comes into tech side. That if only Sebi was here, he'd be able to make this happen.
Nope. I just got to plug it
in. It's funny because my wire is actually plugged in already. I could have done it if he would have called me.
Yeah, I know. But... All right, how about now? You there? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, there he is. So
that voice is sexy.
That is, Jason Patton, Fire Department Chronicles, Fire Department Coffee. I got Robert Pipero. You know that little guy, Pip, looks like a leprechaun?
Yeah.
He's on with me, brother.
The furthest thing from Irish is right here.
It's pretty funny you called, man. I was actually thinking of you the other day, and I wanted to send you a message to say Happy New Year and wish you on, congratulations on all the success of Fire Department Coffee. You guys are crushing it. And then here you are calling me before I got a chance to call you. So how are you, buddy?
I'm good, dude. Good. Just starting off the new year fun, man. How's everything with you?
Good. Crazy. That's kind of what Pip and I are doing. Pip runs the Size Up on National Fire Radio. It's the, health, wellness, and lifestyle podcast. We're kind of changing focus. We haven't even gotten to talking about what it's going to look like this year. But and then here you are. So I wanted to grab you. I love when guys just call in and we're doing a podcast and I can grab them and put them on. So what's new with you, pal?
Nothing outrageously exciting. Just kind of just moving forward with obviously creating videos.
I love it.
Kind of a new expansion of Fire Department Coffee. It's been crazy, man. Moving into Walmart, and we actually just launched our Maui shirts, man. I don't know if you saw, but
awesome.
we ended up on Fox and Friends, and which was very cool. It's we raised. Yesterday, I don't know what the end numbers are going to be, but it was like an insane amount of orders. Like 1,500 orders came in one day. It was
doing the right
crazy,
thing,
man. Yeah, man. We're excited, dude, to be able to. Hawaii's and you said it when we met the other day or a couple months ago when we were speaking at the same event. Just the people there, dude, they're a breed of their own, and it's just so cool to be able.
Have you been?
I've not been, dude. I want to go, but every time I'm at like FDIC, there's like 3 or 4 Hawaii firefighters that walk in.
Yeah.
And like, even if I wasn't a firefighter, they're just the nicest people in the world.
Cool. Dude, it's a place that it will change you if you go there on vacation.
So,
if you go cool. there for a higher purpose, it really changes.
A new leg or a new kind of view of National Fire Radio.
Hold on, can you hear Pip or no?
No.
Oh, you can't hear me.
Why is that? Hang on, I want to see why the board's not patching you guys together. That's weird.
I'm so sad now. I wonder if the people.
Pip, you're just gonna have to sit there and be quiet now, Pip.
It's so sad.
I don't know why that's happening. You guys, I got you both talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, they can't hear each other. Shit. All right. Well, Jason, keep going. I'm sorry, Pip. You sit there and look pretty. I don't know why the board's not doing that. I don't know what's.
That's so funny.
We need an audio engineer
because I can hear like something. So I don't know if it's a volume issue or something like that. But,
yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Listen, I was supposed to go back this month, and it couldn't get it in the schedule. I couldn't make it happen. And a lot of it has to do with the travel it takes. It's 2 full days of travel. And that's the problem.
Yeah, because I got invited out there not this December, but December before to go to speak at the big conference they have there. And I wanted to go, bro. It's like I was genuinely excited, but I think it was 19 hours for the flight or something like that to be able to get out there. And I would love that, but getting 2 days of travel on top of everything else is just so hard.
Yeah.
But I will make it out there at some point.
Good.
Very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I'm glad everything's going really well for you. And but rightfully so. I know how hard you work. I watched your video series the other day where you did the highlight on the different patients. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's just fun, man. You bring this lightheartedness and just laughter. I don't care who you are. If you can't laugh at Jason Patton's content, there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like there's something wrong with you. It's just good, lighthearted stuff. And it's PG. It's fun. And that's the one thing you and I were talking about too, is that you get a lot of people that come up to you and they tell you that it's something they can share with their kids, which I love.
Dude, that was so important to me from the inception of all of it, man, was that it's something that you can watch no matter what. Only because I watched so many, and I'll never take out the fact that my success, I believe, comes with a massive amount of luck. You know, I think that's kind of the way that a lot of this stuff works out. But I just watched a lot of guys that had really good content, guys and girls. But they took our humor that we have in the station, the super raw stuff, the humor that I absolutely love, and you'll hear me like use it all the time if I'm not on a video screen or something like that. But they try to take that and throw it on the internet, and you just can't, man. Like it's immediately rejected. Your department's like, well, you're fired, so thanks for coming, man. But so it was from the inception. I was like, I got to make sure that when I put this out there, anyone can watch it. And since then, dude, some people have come up and that are absolutely hysterical. They like get me dying laughing. And I agree with you, man. If you can't laugh at yourself,
come on,
laugh at the stupid shit. And the next series that I come out with that shows the real things, I'm gonna reveal that some of those were actually me and my own stupidity. So I can tell you right now, the one where I almost shit myself in the back of an ambulance, that 100% was me.
I think many of us have been close to that for sure. So I think we can all sympathize for sure with you. But good. Well, is there anything I can help you with? Something we got to do off the air? Because that's fine too. I figured you were calling. I got to plug you into the board. And I think I figured out why Pip can't hear you, because I'm recording with him through a streaming platform on the computer, and you're just plugged into my board. And I think that's why it's not working. I got to look at that.
I think I have an opportunity for you, you and Rush the Bus to, if it works out properly, I think you guys could be the on-ground crews to host a new TV show. And it's already been filmed. The pilot's already out there. There's a lot of interest in it. But when I thought about some people that could bring some real dynamic, like insights to firefighting and paramedics across the United States, you guys were the ones that I thought of.
Cool.
And I think
appreciate it.
Yeah. So you and I, whenever you're done with all this, give me a shout, man, and we'll talk about the details.
We'll chit chat, man. I appreciate you thinking of me as always.
Of course, man. Well, you're a stud.
Come on.
Can you tell him I said bye?
Yeah, Pip he's raising his hand over here on the video, and he's like, just tell him I said hello. Tell him I said goodbye. So anyway, Jason Patton, Fire Department Chronicles, Fire Department Coffee, huge success with the platform. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling me. I'll check in with you later when I get off this. Okay.
Sounds good, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Chase. Appreciate it. Bye. Yo,
I think it has. That was unexpected and fun.
Yeah, I think it has everything to do with the board, because
no, it makes sense. It makes sense. Again, too, though, but this goes back to
though. We should be. We're gonna work out those kinks, because having a call-in show like that would be fantastic, and that's something that we want to shoot towards.
The variety show, man.
Yeah,
the variety show.
Yeah.
Right. Like yes, it'll be. We're gonna bring it back like the '60s, like the Gong Show almost.
Yeah.
With no gong.
Just reading.
Because now you're going to read text and not there. But that was fun. I think it's interesting too, because we've talked about things, and we talked about growth and how we can expand the National Fire Radio moniker, size up everything, frontline mindset. And that's one of the things where like there's all these people that call us throughout the day for different varying reasons. And why don't we just get them involved with more stuff? Because it's just more insight. So hopefully this becomes something now that we've done it, sort of.
Well, I mean, ultimately I think what we need more of is collaborations, right? When you do see, the problem is guys get weird because they get very protective, and everything comes down to money. And that money sways the conversation because all of a sudden, when you're not in it, I talk about mission over me. I talk about, and a lot of people do, but I talk about it in a different way, in the importance of, the mission. And like ultimately, like getting involved with National Fire Radio was done for one important reason: paying it forward. And it's whether I can put some coin in the pocket along the way with advertisers, marketers, working on different projects, all those different things. It's great. It's a bonus. I'm not doing this today to pay myself anything. I'm doing this today because I feel like it's paying it forward. It's my way of giving back. And this is part of that conversation from earlier. Like, am I full of shit or do I actually believe this? And it's like, I have gotten to a point where I actually believe this. I believe that what we're doing is for the greater good, and I'm not doing it for any other reason. And I think where a lot of people get tripped up is they forget that. I think a lot of people start with good intention. I think a lot of people in the fire service do things with good intention. And I'll throw this to you, and I challenge you. Look at this. How many people now on Instagram have a subscribe button?
Yeah, I don't even know what that does. Like, people keep asking me to subscribe. I did it
It's
once.
the
I'm
page
like, I'm out.
asking you to pay them.
Yeah, I'm out.
You want more content? Pay me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Please don't. People are going to get all butthurt over this because I said it. But I will not put stuff behind a paywall on National Fire Radio. I argue with Rob and Sebi all the time, especially Sebi, all the time. I don't want a Patreon. I don't want a paywall. We are not a podcast that is built for hiding the good stuff behind a paywall. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because then we don't reach the people. And this is where people get confused. This is where all of a sudden the need for yourself comes over the mission. I'm not an idealistic guy. Like, I'm not sitting here preaching. I'm just saying National Fire Radio is a platform that is to reach everyone in the fire service, and you're never going to reach everyone in the fire service if you're putting it behind a paywall. Now, if that's who you are and that's the business model you have and that's what you want to do, that's great. Go ahead. I don't care. People can choose to go all in on your content, and they'll pay you $1.99 a month. I mean, ultimately, guys with subscribe buttons, how much are you making? A couple $100 a month right now? Because nobody's got a massive audience. So is that couple $100 a month? Is that so important? This has been a topic. I've had a couple people ask me about this, and it's come to light. And I've been watching this. As much as I talk, I listen. As much as I post, I watch. And I'm like, everyone, because Instagram offered a subscribe button, now everybody wants to be paid for their content, or they want to put stuff behind a paywall instead of paying it forward.
It's the easy button to go now because you don't have to do any work. Just get to hit the button and people will pay you for the same thing that you were giving to them for free. I think that's where a big difference is, especially with what I'm seeing more recently is, yeah, there are things that should be behind a paywall. There are educational programs that you should pay for. There are
100%.
loads of things out there that you can.
I spoke over the weekend. I did my class. I get paid for it.
Yeah, your 100%. Time, your travel, what you're passing on to the people that are there, they're paying to get in the door. All of that comes into play. There are also things that, like, to hear the two of us talk behind a paywall, you can hear the two of us talk for free. And they're just as easy. And I feel like it does more. And, you said something, I do agree. Everyone gets into whatever they're doing for the best of intentions. And then things get muddied, whether that be jealousy, whether that be they're just tired of doing it anymore, whether they don't feel appreciated enough, whether they don't feel their opinion is being valued by anyone. There's loads of things that can muddy it. And if you're honest with that and say, hey, this is why I'm out, then you're out. All too often that doesn't happen that way, and they come up with some type of an excuse or a blame to blame the other people that are still involved. And I think that's a big part of it. But you have to keep those intentions, and even going behind the paywall. Hey, listen, a little bit of free content, some paid content. Nothing wrong with that. But it depends on how you're going about it and why you're going about it, and still sticking true to your mission. And that's where I think it really makes the difference. It's like an app. Like, you can have a free app and you can have a paid app. sometimes on the paid app, you need it.
Yeah.
Because that's what you need. Other times, you really need to have a paid app? Probably not.
Well, and that's it. And like ultimately, like I said, if that's something that you want to do, that's your business model and that's important to you and that's how you want to grow and that's what you need, then that's fine. I have no problem with it. What I'm saying is we will never go that route. I won't. From day one, I said we wouldn't, and I won't. And I'm not being selfish. And if anything, it's not being selfish at all. It's understanding that my mission, the mission of what we're doing, is bigger. It's bigger than, getting a select few people that are willing to pay me to come in, and I'm going to give everything to them, and then everybody else is going to get like the leftovers. I just want to give it all away. And what we'll do is we'll reap the reward of that in 25 years. It's long-term versus short-term. Everybody's in it for the short term. Nobody can even see the long-term vision. And I look at it this way. We're going on year 6, I think, right now for National Fire Radio. March will be 6 years. I'm grateful for the growth that we've had. Could we have scaled faster? Yes. Could we have done it differently? Yes. Could we be making more money? Yes. Are we? We're getting there.
I was hoping we were going there.
It's a long play, bro.
It is. It's 100%. Everything in life is a long play, right? There's no get rich and
in an immediate society, pal. Everybody can get their answers today. There's no more bar trivia. There's no arguing back and forth because we pick up our phone and give you an answer immediately. Nobody understands patience. Nobody understands the long play. Everybody wants it today. I want it today because I can have it today. I have DoorDash, Uber Eats. People won't even get up, put their own boots on, and put a pair of pants on and go pick up takeout. They'll spend $40 to get it delivered to them. We've become a society of laziness. We've become a society of short term. I need it now.
I did that. I did that the other night, bro. I did that the other night for the first time. For the first time, I should say, since like pandemic-y times. I
won't do it.
Where like we ordered takeout, and I'm like, I'm just DoorDashing this to the house. It was just me and Tracy. Like the kids were gone. We were enjoying a night at home, and I'm like, I'm actually doing it. And then when I did it, I'm like, damn, I should have just driven over there and picked it up.
Right? I'm telling you.
But there are that you can just see it even in, if you just watch TV shows, like that's become like a common thing. Like, oh, what do you want to DoorDash now? Like that's a plot episode of
Amazon Prime.
Oh, I do love Amazon Prime, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too. I'm not vilifying this. I'm saying it's the society we've become. It's who we are today. You want something, you can have. I have Amazon deliver the same day.
I got stuff Saturday. I got stuff the same day.
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday delivery. Like, I was like, holy.
It's crazy. The mailmen work 7 days a week now. It's crazy, right? Like, it's crazy to watch. But like, we could order something in the morning, and if the Amazon distribution center has it local to me, we get it the same freaking day.
You know, my mailman a while ago told me, though, that if it wasn't for Amazon delivery, there would be no U.S. Postal Service.
I believe that.
Like 100%. And I never really thought about it.
They're in the red every year.
Yeah.
They make no money. They cost the government money. To send a letter, I forget whatever it is now, like 51 cents, 49 cents, whatever a stamp is now. It costs like 10 times that to mail a freaking letter, bro.
It's really not 35 cents. I can't tell you the last time I bought it. And my wife Tracy bought the ones for the Christmas card, so I don't. It's
almost like $50, I think. I think it's like 49 cents for a letter.
$50. 50 cents, you mean, Jeremy?
I got a $50 piece in my pocket.
Yeah.
Weird. All right, listen, because we've been yapping a long time. People have probably tuned out. They don't even care anymore. I want to ask you this. What are we doing in 2024 with the Size Up? We came up with an idea that we're going to be pursuing. We're going to need the help of our audience. We're going to need the help of people on social and through the podcast channels. Because what we do off the job matters. It's kind of a slogan that's taken foothold of the Size Up. Talk to me what that means to you and why we came up with that.
Because it's so important. What you do off the job matters. And that's any job, not just being a firefighter. If you're a volunteer firefighter, if you're a plumber, if you're a police officer, a paramedic, in the military, you know, what you do when you are not in your career or you're not doing something. That's what we want to talk about, because people have these amazing hobbies. They have these amazing pursuits. You know, listening to people like friends of ours talk about starting their small business and coming up with a concept, you know, and moving that forward. People we know are super into fashion and into sneakers. I mean, sneakerheads. I don't understand a thing about that. I just know there's stores in the mall that sell really expensive sneakers and people pay for them. So that's what we want to do. We want to go out and meet you. We want to talk to you. I want you to come on the show. I want you to share your experience. You know, we've had some awesome guests this past year in 2023. We talked about BMX racing. We talked about fly fishing. But we want to do more than just talk. We want to come to you. You know, the brand here, National Fire Radio, wants to do the road show and get back out there. And we want to come because if you're a barber as your side gig, or a barber as your full-time gig, man, I like getting a good haircut and a good straight razor shave every now and again. Let's talk while we're there, and let's have you share your story.
And that's what it is, man. Health, wellness, and lifestyle. Lifestyle is a big part of it. It does matter. Outside of the firehouse, what do you do? How do you unwind? What's important to you? Do you rock climb? Do you ride BMX bikes? Are you a tattoo artist? Do you give haircuts? I mean, whatever it is, we want to know. And the more interesting, the better. And then what we want to do is we want to come out, we want to experience it with you, and we want to talk while we do it. And we're going to document the whole thing. I think it's going to make for an incredible series. To be honest with you, in the immediate, this is my selfish ask, that if anybody's listening to this and you are a firefighter and a tattoo artist, I want to talk to you. I do not have any tattoos.
Jeremy really wants to catch up with me.
I do want to get my first tattoo. It is not a tramp stamp, I promise. It is something that is going to be very important to me, something I've thought about for not 46 years, but probably the last 20 years. And I've really focused in on what I want. It's not over the top crazy, but for my first one, I want it to be special. I want it to be important.
Not the size up logo?
I want to find what?
I thought it was going to be the size up logo. That's what you told me. You told me to find a
tattoo artist. Definitely not.
That's what you said. That's what you said.
Definitely not. But I will say this. The intent of it is to sit in the chair, get a tattoo, and while we're tattooing, have the conversation and document it. I think it would make for a great episode. And
I'll be there too, because Jeremy does not realize that it's not always the easiest thing to talk while you're getting a tattoo. There's some, I mean, I have enough, and depending on where you want to get it and your pain tolerance, my last tattoo, I could have done anything while I was getting it just because of the spot it was in.
Yeah, no, I get it.
There's definitely some spots where I'm like, man, buddy, I don't think
and that's where I think this would be a lot of fun. And it's going to be the same thing when we talk to guys who rappel, who rock climb, who ice climb, who, ride horses, who plays polo. I don't freaking know where this is going to take us. But what I do know is this: between you and I, and this is me being involved in the beginning only selfishly for me. And then you're going to run wild with this, man. And I think that it just makes for a really cool episode. I'd love to come.
I'd love to go surfing. I'd love to learn.
Shop that reached out to us a while ago. I want to go there, learn about cigars, smoke a cigar, talk with the guys there, and have a cigar. I want to go learn how to make craft cocktails with a fireman that's a bartender in a craft cocktail bar. And I want to go there and bartend with them and see what it's like. I want to go, and this is Pip. This is what you and I were talking about. It just will show a different side of our guys, our girls, the women and men that make up firehouses across this country have so many other things going on in their worlds. And we want to find those things and we want to bring that to the story.
And it's so because those things are so important, right? Because everyone that I've talked to when we talk about health and wellness and specifically mental health and wellness, it's always, well, what else is it that you do? Because if your life is 150% fire, I'm a career guy here, I'm a captain, I'm a volley chief, I teach in these classes and I do fire, whatever it is, you are way down a road that is going to be hard to recover from. And these outlets of whether you're a barber, whether you make craft cocktails, whether you know a lot about whiskey or you play polo on horses, these outlets, you may not even realize how important they are to your mental well-being and your overall success on the job, right? This is our outlet right here, Jer. What this thing that we
part
do,
of it. Yeah,
it's a huge part of our outlet. I can trust me. Tracy has told me numerous times, like you need to either get back in that gym or start recording or figure out another project to be on because it's not going well when I'm not.
I was talking. Eric Hankins was on the podcast. Fireman out in Yuba City, California. Loves his Harley. I take that back. I don't know if he rides a Harley. Loves his bike.
It's motorcycle.
And he said to me, he's motorcycle. He said to me that on the podcast, he's like, that's my time. He's like, if I get a bad time, I come home, jump on the bike, jump on the motorcycle and go.
Yeah.
Because that's my time. And like, that's super interesting to me because that's how he unplugs. That's how he grounds himself before he can walk back through the threshold of his house to deal with his wife and kids. Like, that's important. And I think that side of the message needs to be shared. I mean, we can talk fire all day long. We can talk about mindset. We can talk about the way you conduct business, the way you search, the way you do all these things that have to do with the firehouse. What are we doing outside of the firehouse?
Yeah. And that's what the Size Up's all about. That really is what we've grown to that. Cause even when we started it, we weren't 100% sure. And then we got like 40 episodes in until we came up with the
and what do you do
off the job matters.
What do you do with the size up? You continually size up, right? You continually look, see, and change accordingly. And like, we're not changing anything. It's just we want to grow the Size Up footprint this year by documenting the stories of those of what they do off the job, because what you do off the job matters.
I love it.
I do too. I hope we go, like, I want to go deep sea fishing this year. Like,
cool. I got a guy for that. I got a couple guys for that actually.
But I do too. I got a guy who's got a great boat.
I think too, we talk about this and now we have to do it, right? We're already, so episode 1 of whatever this part of the Size Up is going to be is already in the planning stages and should be getting filmed hopefully in the next couple of weeks here. But these are the things too. Remember, this is something that's going to take a lot for Jer and I and Sebi and whomever else is involved to get to do, but we want to grow to start doing it. And there's so many stories out there to tell and so many different things. I mean, I'm pretty much down for anything except maybe snakes. Like, I'm kind of like Indiana Jones, man. If you like reptiles, maybe just don't reach out. Is that impolite to say?
We're going to tell you no.
Don't like snakes, dude.
Actually, no, that will be an episode that you can be front and center on.
It would be great, wouldn't it? Like,
I'll watch. I'll be behind the camera. You can play with them all you want. It's not.
But those are the things too. Like, hey, you put yourself outside of your comfort zone, right? And that's what we do, and that's what a lot of our guests do. You know, I feel like when you come on any show that you go on, any podcast, you know, you're putting yourself out there, and at times the host does take you outside of your comfort zone. And hey, maybe that's what it's gonna take. You know, go skydiving or something like that. Like,
well, I really hope. I really, really hope that we can build this and make it happen. I think that my biggest hope of all of this is that somebody catches it, listens to it, and says, man, I really need to find something that I can do for myself.
That's it.
You know, there's a lot of people that think they don't have the time for something for themselves and they're giving too much. And it's kind of funny how we just went full circle with what the, conversation was earlier. Yep. Too often we get wrapped up in our own stuff and we don't think that we can do anything more for our own selves. And so we focus on everyone else and not ourselves. And I think that it's important to share the message that it's okay to focus on yourself as long as it's done in the right way. And if you need something, if you need an outlet, go get it. It's okay. And you
have to make the time for that too. You have to make that time. It can't be everything else. It's okay to be a little selfish about yourself when it comes to going to ride your motorcycle or going to ride your mountain bike or going for a run or recording a podcast or smoking a cigar. You know, you have to make that time and you have to make that on your priority list, for you and your mental checklist of the day, because that's a big part of it too.
Couldn't agree more, my man. So I'm excited to see what this year brings. I'm excited to see so we need people to reach out to us.
We forgot that part.
So yeah. So shoot us a DM either on the Size Up or National Fire Radio. Pip, what's the email address for you?
It's going to be the NFR, the Size Up at gmail.com.
Right. And so we'll do that. Send an email, drop a call.
Nobody emails anymore. It's all social media. Definitely all social media.
Send us a message. We want to hear from you. Tell us what you do, what your hobbies are, what you like to do. And if it's possible, man, we'd love to catch up with you and then see if it fits the show and how we can schedule something. But I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think a lot of value will come from it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Let's do it. I like it.
All right, cool. Last words, last thoughts.
Oh, dude, we were all over the place today. I'm good, man. I don't. There's nothing to be last about. This was fun. We just have to do this more. I think we have to keep this ball rolling to improve on it.
You know what I love? I love that I got this like new studio set up here, so I can either stand or sit. And I'm like standing right now. I'm dancing. Like
I need to work on that, man. I need a new chair. I think I'm gonna actually Amazon Prime me a chair because I sit on a stool because it's uncomfortable and it means that I'll sit still and I'll be more proper. But I need to like.
I don't know how these things works. I would think an uncomfortable stool, you'd be moving around more.
No, it's almost like a punishment, like where like Pip sits. It reminds me that I have to sit still and I have to not fidget, and it's all my executive functioning thing. I just talked about it on the last podcast, but working on it. But I think a new chair is coming, and maybe my 2024 purchase for the studio here.
You are a crazy man. You live outside, man. All right, I appreciate you. Thank you. The Size Up, check them out. We're releasing new episodes every Tuesday on the podcast channel. The Size Up, because what you do off the job matters. It's a new concept that we're going to bring to you this year in 2024. So if you have something fun, something you like to do where you unplug, where you get to enjoy life outside of the firehouse, let us know, man. We want to hear your story. We want to know who you are, where you are, what you do, and then we want to come check it out ourselves. So Pep, thank you. I appreciate you joining me this morning, man. It's always fun catching up with you. Happy New Year. Thank you for all your hard work this past year with the Size Up. You really have made just a great footprint here on the National Fire Radio platform. I appreciate you very much for putting your trust in me, the guys, the platform. And man, we got so much good stuff happening this year. I'm excited for 24.
As Finn would say, let's go.
Let's go.
That's what he says.
All right, guys. Pip, thank you, brother. And guys, thank you for tuning in on the National Fire Radio podcast. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. And just do me a favor. I say this at the end of every episode, and I mean it more and more each time I say it. Take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse and talk about it, because when we're talking about the job, we're making the job better. We'll see you at the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Jeremy, National Fire Radio. National Fire Radio.